Imagine this. You're sitting in a cozy diner, the smell of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon filling the air. The clatter of plates and the hum of conversation create a comforting backdrop to your morning. But in one corner of the room, a scene unfolds that will leave you questioning everything you think you know about people, power, and the unexpected twists life can take. A wealthy man, dressed in a tailored suit that screams success, sits at a table, his face a mask of indifference as he finishes his meal. Across from him, a waitress, her uniform slightly worn, her smile tired but genuine, places the check on the table. What happens next is a moment that will change both of their lives forever. He refuses to tip her. Not a single dollar. His reason? Service wasn't good enough. But what he doesn't know is that this waitress isn't just anyone. And by the time he realizes who she really is, it'll be too late. This is a story about assumptions, hidden identities, and the kind of karma that hits you when you least expect it. Stick around, because you're about to find out what happens when a rich man refuses to tip a waitress and then learns who she truly is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another story about a rich guy being rude? What's so special about this one? Trust me, this isn't your typical tale of arrogance and comeuppance. This story has layers that will make you question how quickly we judge others based on appearances. It's about the invisible threads that connect us, the secrets we keep, and the moments that force us to confront our own biases. And here's the thing, you're not just watching this story unfold. You're part of it. Because by the end of this video, you're going to see yourself in one of these characters. Maybe you'll recognize the waitress's resilience, or maybe you'll see a bit of the rich man's entitlement in yourself. Either way, this story is going to stay with you long after the video ends. Let's talk about the two main characters for a moment. First, there's the rich man. Let's call him Mr. Carter. He's the kind of guy who's used to getting what he wants. Money, power, respect, it's all been handed to him on a silver platter. He's the CEO of a successful tech company, the kind of guy who's always in control. But beneath that polished exterior, there's something darker. Something that makes him believe he's above the rules, above common decency. Then there's the waitress. Her name is Emily. She's been working at the diner for years, scraping by on tips and the occasional kind word from a customer. She's the kind of person who's easy to overlook, the kind of person people like Mr. Carter don't even see. But Emily has a secret, a big one. And it's about to turn Mr. Carter's world upside down. The primary conflict here is simple on the surface. A rich man refuses to tip a waitress. But as the story unfolds, you'll see that it's about so much more than money. It's about power dynamics, about the way we treat people we perceive as beneath us. It's about the masks we wear and the truths we hide. And it's about the moment when those masks come off and we're forced to face the consequences of our actions. This isn't just a story about a waitress and a rich man. It's a story about all of us. About the choices we make, the people we ignore, and the moments that define us. Now, I know you're here because you want answers. You want to know who Emily really is and what happens when Mr. Carter finds out. You want to see the look on his face when he realizes he's made a huge mistake. And I promise you, you're going to get those answers. But not yet. Because this story isn't just about the ending. It's about the journey. It's about the tension that builds as you watch these two characters collide. The anticipation that keeps you on the edge of your seat. So, take a deep breath, settle in, and get ready for a story that's going to challenge everything you think you know about people and the world we live in. As we dive deeper into this tale, I want you to think about the last time you made a snap judgment about someone. Maybe it was the barista who got your order wrong, or the stranger who cut you off in traffic. We've all been there. We've all had moments where we let our assumptions cloud our judgment. But what if that person had a story you knew nothing about? What if they were going through something you couldn't even imagine? That's the power of this story. It's a reminder that everyone has a story, and that sometimes the people we least expect are the ones who can teach us the most. So, here's where we leave you hanging. Mr. Carter has just walked out of the diner, leaving Emily without a tip. He's smug, confident, completely unaware of the storm that's about to hit him. Emily watches him go, her expression unreadable. But as she turns back to the kitchen, there's a glint in her eye. A spark of something that suggests she's not just a waitress. She's something more. And when Mr. Carter finally learns the truth, it's going to shake him to his core. But what is that truth? Who is Emily, really? And what happens when Mr. Carter's world comes crashing down? You'll have to keep watching to find out. Because this is just the beginning. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. This introduction is designed to hook viewers immediately, build a psychological connection, and keep them engaged with a mix of mystery, relatable themes, and a cliffhanger. It's written in a conversational tone to feel personal and human-centric while avoiding any policy violations. The keywords and themes align with trending YouTube searches, ensuring it resonates with a US audience. As the door of the diner swings shut behind Mr. Carter, the faint jingle of the bell echoes through the nearly empty restaurant. Emily stands there for a moment, her hands gripping the edge of the counter, her knuckles whitening as she processes what just happened. It's not the first time a customer has stiffed her on a tip, but something about this one feels different. Maybe it's the way he looked at her like she was invisible, like her efforts didn't matter. Or maybe it's the fact that she's been having the kind of week that makes even the smallest slight feel like a crushing blow. You see, Emily isn't just a waitress. She's a woman with a past that's been creeping closer to the surface with each passing day. And while she's been trying to keep it buried, the encounter with Mr. Carter might just be the thing that brings it all rushing back. Let's rewind a bit, because to understand why this moment is so significant, we need to talk about what's been going on in Emily's life lately. For the past few months, she's been living in a kind of limbo, caught between the life she left behind and the one she's trying to build. She moved to this small town to start over, to escape the chaos of her old life. But starting over isn't easy, especially when you're carrying secrets as heavy as hers. She's been working double shifts at the diner, saving every penny she can, but it's never enough. The bills keep piling up, and the weight of her past feels like it's pressing down on her chest. And then there's the phone call she got last week, the one that made her heart race and her hands shake. It was from someone she hasn't spoken to in years, someone who knows things about her that no one else does. The caller didn't say much, just a few cryptic words. They're getting closer. Be careful. Emily hasn't been able to shake the feeling that something or someone is coming for her. Now, let's talk about Mr. Carter. On the surface, he's the picture of success. He's the CEO of a tech company that's been making headlines for its groundbreaking innovations. He's got the kind of wealth that most people can only dream of, the kind that buys you not just luxury, but power. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that Mr. Carter's life isn't as perfect as it seems. His company is under investigation for shady business practices, and rumors are swirling that he's been cutting corners to stay ahead of the competition. His marriage is on the rocks, his wife growing increasingly distant as he pours more and more of himself into his work. And then there's the mysterious phone call he received just before he walked into the diner. It was from an unknown number, and the voice on the other end was cold, menacing. You think you're untouchable, but you're not. Watch your back. Mr. Carter brushed it off as a prank, but deep down, he can't shake the feeling that someone is watching him, waiting for the right moment to strike. As the days pass, strange things start happening to both Emily and Mr. Carter. Emily notices a car parked outside her apartment at odd hours, its headlights off, but the engine running. She's been getting hang-up calls in the middle of the night, the silence on the other end more unsettling than any words could be. And then there's the envelope she found slipped under her door one morning. Inside was a single photograph, a grainy image of her from years ago, standing in front of a building she hasn't seen in a long time. On the back, scrawled in messy handwriting, were the words, "The past always catches up." Meanwhile, Mr. Carter's life is unraveling in its own way. His company's stock is plummeting, and the board is starting to question his leadership. He's been receiving anonymous emails, each one containing a piece of information that only someone with intimate knowledge of his business could know. And then there's the package that arrived at his office, a small, unmarked box containing a single item, a key. A key to what? He has no idea. But the note that came with it was clear. You'll know when the time comes. The tension is building, and it's becoming clear that these two lives are more connected than they seem. But how? What could a waitress in a small-town diner and a high-powered CEO possibly have in common? The answer lies in their pasts, in a series of events that took place years ago, events that both of them have tried to forget. But forgetting isn't the same as escaping, and the past has a way of resurfacing when you least expect it. As Emily and Mr. Carter navigate their increasingly chaotic lives, they're both being drawn toward a confrontation, one that will force them to face the truths they've been running from. And when that moment comes, it's gonna change everything. But here's the thing, there are others involved in this story, people who have their own reasons for wanting to see Emily and Mr. Carter brought to their knees. There's the mysterious figure who's been watching them from the shadows, pulling the strings and setting the stage for whatever is coming next. There's the detective who's been assigned to investigate the allegations against Mr. Carter's company, a man who's starting to suspect that there's more to this case than meets the eye. And then there's the woman who's been calling Emily, the one who knows her secrets. Who is she, and what does she want? Is she a friend, or is she the one who's been orchestrating everything from behind the scenes? The answers are out there, but they're buried deep, and uncovering them is going to take time. As the pieces of this puzzle start to come together, one thing becomes clear: nothing is as it seems. Every clue leads to more questions. Every revelation only deepens the mystery. And just when you think you figured it out, the story takes another twist, leaving you more confused and more hooked than ever. So, what happens next? What's the connection between Emily and Mr. Carter? Who's behind the threats, and what do they want? And most importantly, how far are these two willing to go to protect their secrets? The answers are coming, but you'll have to keep watching to find out. Because this story is far from over, and the best and worst is yet to come. As threads of Emily's and Mr. Carter's lives continue to unravel, a new figure emerges from the shadows, one whose presence complicates the mystery in ways neither of them could have anticipated. Enter Sarah, a journalist who's been digging into the allegations surrounding Mr. Carter's company for months. She's relentless, the kind of reporter who doesn't stop until she's uncovered the truth, no matter how dangerous it might be. Sarah has been following the trail of corruption, piecing together a story that could bring down not just Mr. Carter, but an entire network of powerful individuals who've been operating in the shadows for years. But what she doesn't know is that her investigation has put her directly in the crosshairs of someone who doesn't want the truth to come out. And when she receives a package at her apartment one evening, she realizes just how deep this rabbit hole goes. The package is small, wrapped in plain brown paper, with no return address. Inside is a USB drive and a note that reads, "You're getting too close. Stop now or you'll regret it." Sarah hesitates for a moment, her mind racing with possibilities. She's no stranger to threats. Her line of work comes with its fair share of risks, but this feels different. There's a cold finality to the words, a sense that whoever sent this isn't bluffing. Against her better judgment, she plugs the USB drive into her laptop. What she finds is a collection of files, emails, financial records, and photographs that seem to implicate not just Mr. Carter, but several high-profile figures in a web of corruption that spans industries and borders. But there's something else, something that makes her blood run cold. Among the files is a photograph of her, taken recently, with a timestamp and location. Whoever sent this knows where she lives, where she works, and they've been watching her. The message is clear: back off or face the consequences. Meanwhile, Emily's life takes another unexpected turn. She's been trying to keep a low profile to avoid drawing attention to herself, but it's becoming increasingly clear that someone is determined to drag her back into the life she left behind. One evening, as she's closing up the diner, she finds a note tucked under the windshield wiper of her car. It's written in the same messy handwriting as the previous messages, and it says, "You can't hide forever. They're coming." Emily's heart pounds as she reads the words, her mind racing with questions. Who's coming? And what do they want from her? She's been careful, so careful, but it's starting to feel like no matter what she does, she can't escape the past. And then there's the phone call she receives later that night. It's from a number she doesn't recognize, and when she answers, all she hears is static. But just before the call ends, a voice whispers, "You're not safe." As the tension mounts, Mr. Carter finds himself facing his own set of challenges. The key he received in the mysterious package has been gnawing at him, and he's determined to figure out what it unlocks. After days of searching, he finally finds a match, a safety deposit box at a bank downtown. When he opens it, he's met with a stack of documents that seem to confirm his worst fears. There are contracts, signed agreements, and photographs that suggest his company has been involved in activities far more sinister than he ever imagined. But there's something else in the box, something that stops him cold. It's a photograph of Emily, taken years ago, standing next to someone he recognizes, a man who was once his closest ally, but who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The realization hits him like a punch to the gut. Emily isn't just a waitress. She's connected to his past in ways he can't yet understand. And if she's back in his life now, it can only mean one thing: someone is pulling the strings, and they're playing a dangerous game. The stakes are higher now, and the lines between friend and foe are blurring. Sarah, Emily, and Mr. Carter are all being drawn into a web of intrigue that's more complex and more deadly than any of them could have imagined. Each of them holds a piece of the puzzle, but none of them can see the full picture. And as they each try to navigate their own paths, they're starting to realize that they're not the only ones being targeted. There's someone else out there, someone who's been watching, waiting, and manipulating events from behind the scenes. But who are they? What do they want? And how far are they willing to go to achieve their goals? The tension is palpable now, the sense of impending danger growing with each passing moment. Sarah is digging deeper into the files she found on the USB drive, uncovering connections that suggest a conspiracy far larger than she ever imagined. Emily is trying to stay one step ahead of whoever is after her, but the threats are becoming more frequent, more personal. And Mr. Carter is starting to realize that his empire, the one he's spent his life building, is built on a foundation of lies and deceit. But the question remains, who is behind all of this? Is it someone from Emily's past? Someone who's been waiting for the right moment to strike? Or is it someone closer to Mr. Carter? Someone who's been hiding in plain sight all along? The answers are out there, but finding them is going to come at a cost. And as the pieces of the puzzle start to come together, one thing becomes clear: no one is safe, and no one can be trusted. So, what happens next? Will Sarah uncover the truth before it's too late? Will Emily find a way to escape the past that's haunting her? And will Mr. Carter be able to salvage what's left of his life? Or is he destined to fall victim to the very forces he helped create? The answers are coming, but they're not going to be easy to find. And as the story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: the stakes have never been higher, and the danger has never been more real. So, stay tuned, because this is just the beginning. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next. Just when it seems like the pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together, the story takes a sharp, unexpected turn that flips everything on its head. Emily, who has been portrayed as the victim, a waitress caught in the crossfire of a dangerous game, suddenly reveals a side of herself that no one saw coming. It happens late one night, after another shift at the diner. She's alone in her apartment, the silence pressing in on her, when she pulls out a small, weathered notebook from a hidden compartment in her closet. The pages are filled with notes, dates, and names, some of which are chillingly familiar. Mr. Carter's name is there, along with Sarah's, and several others who've been circling the edges of this mystery. But what's most shocking is the handwriting. It's hers. Every word, every detail, written in her own hand. This isn't just a record of events, it's a plan. A meticulously crafted plan that she's been executing for months, if not years. Emily isn't just a waitress trying to escape her past. She's the architect of this entire situation, the one pulling the strings from behind the scenes. The revelation is staggering, and it forces us to reevaluate everything we thought we knew about her. Those late-night phone calls, the mysterious packages, the threats, they weren't random acts of intimidation. They were part of her design, carefully orchestrated to manipulate the people around her. But why? What could possibly motivate her to orchestrate such an elaborate scheme? The answer lies in the notebook, in the pages filled with pain and anger and a burning desire for justice. Emily's past isn't just a series of bad decisions or unfortunate events. It's a story of betrayal, of being used and discarded by people who thought they could get away with anything because of their power and privilege. And now, she's turning the tables. But her plan isn't just about revenge. It's about exposing the truth, about forcing the world to see the rot at the core of the systems that protect people like Mr. Carter. And she's willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen, even if it means destroying herself in the process. Meanwhile, Mr. Carter is grappling with his own shocking revelation. The photograph he found in the safety deposit box, the one of Emily standing next to his former ally, has led him down a path he never expected to take. He's been digging into the past, trying to piece together what happened to the man who disappeared all those years ago. What he discovers is a web of lies and cover-ups that implicates not just his former ally, but himself as well. It turns out that the man didn't just disappear. He was silenced, and Mr. Carter's company played a role in making that happen. The realization hits him like a ton of bricks. He's been living in a house of cards, and now it's all coming crashing down. But the most shocking part? Emily knew. She's known all along. And she's been using that knowledge to manipulate him, to force him to confront the truth about who he is and what he's done. Sarah, the journalist, is also caught in the crossfire of this revelation. The files she found on the USB drive, the ones that seem to implicate Mr. Carter and his associates, turn out to be only part of the story. As she digs deeper, she uncovers evidence that suggests Emily has been feeding her information, carefully guiding her investigation to expose the truth. But it's not just about justice for Emily. There's a personal stake here, something that ties Emily and Sarah together in ways that neither of them has fully acknowledged. The more Sarah uncovers, the more she realizes that she's not just a bystander in this story. She's a key player, and her actions or inactions have consequences that ripple far beyond what she ever imagined. The stakes have never been higher, and the lines between right and wrong are blurring. Emily's plan is reaching its climax, and the people around her are starting to realize just how deep the rabbit hole goes. But as the truth comes to light, it becomes clear that this isn't just a story about revenge or justice. It's a story about power, who has it, who abuses it, and who pays the price. And as the final pieces of the puzzle fall into place, one thing becomes clear: no one is innocent. Not Emily, not Mr. Carter, not Sarah. They've all played a role in creating this mess, and now they're going to have to face the consequences. But here's the twist. Just when it seems like everything is about to come to a head, a new player enters the game. Someone who's been watching from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to make their move. This person has their own agenda, their own reasons for wanting to see Emily's plan succeed or fail. And they're not afraid to get their hands dirty to make sure things go their way. Who are they? What do they want? And how will their involvement change the course of events? The answers are coming, but they're not going to be easy to find. And as the story hurtles toward its conclusion, one thing is certain: nothing is as it seems, and no one can be trusted. So, stay tuned, because this story is far from over. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next. The weight of Emily's choices presses down on her like a storm cloud ready to burst. She spent months, maybe even years, meticulously crafting this plan, but now that it's reaching its climax, the cost is becoming unbearable. The notebook in her hands feels heavier than ever, its pages filled with names, dates, and secrets that could destroy lives, including her own. She's always known this moment would come, the moment when she'd have to confront the person she's been avoiding the most, her younger brother, Daniel. He's the one person she's tried to protect, the one person she thought she could keep out of this mess. But as she stares at the latest message on her phone, a photo of Daniel walking into his apartment, unaware of the danger lurking just out of frame, she realizes she can't shield him anymore. The people she's been targeting are closing in, and they've made it clear if she doesn't back down, Daniel will pay the price. The ultimatum is brutal in its simplicity: walk away from her plan and disappear forever, or watch her brother suffer the consequences. For the first time, Emily feels the cracks in her resolve. She's always been willing to sacrifice herself for the truth, but can she really sacrifice him? Meanwhile, Mr. Carter is facing his own impossible choice. The revelations about his company's involvement in the disappearance of his former ally have left him reeling, but the deeper he digs, the more he realizes how far the corruption goes. It's not just his company, it's an entire network of powerful individuals who've been operating in the shadows for years. And now, they've made him an offer: silence the truth or lose everything. His wife, his fortune, his freedom, all of it hangs in the balance. But the most devastating part is the threat to his daughter, a bright-eyed 8-year-old who knows nothing about the darkness her father is entangled in. The thought of her being dragged into this nightmare is more than he can bear. He's spent his life building an empire, but now he's being forced to choose between protecting it and protecting the people he loves. The weight of his decisions is crushing, and for the first time in his life, he feels powerless. He's always been the one in control, but now he's realizing that control was an illusion. The truth is out there, and it's coming for him, whether he's ready or not. Sarah, the journalist, is also being pushed to her limits. The deeper she delves into the story, the more she realizes how personal it's become. The files she's been given, the ones that seemed like a goldmine of information, are starting to feel like a trap. Every lead she follows brings her closer to the truth, but it also brings her closer to danger. And then there's the call she receives late one night from a voice she doesn't recognize. The message is chilling. Stop digging, or you'll regret it. But it's not just her safety that's at risk. The caller mentions her mother, a retired school teacher living quietly in a small town, completely unaware of the storm her daughter is caught in. The threat is clear: back off, or her mother will pay the price. Sarah has always prided herself on her courage, her willingness to chase the truth, no matter the cost. But now, for the first time, she's questioning whether the story is worth it. How far is she willing to go to expose the truth? And how much is she willing to lose? The emotional stakes are higher than ever, and the choices these characters face are tearing them apart. Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah are all being forced to confront the same question: what are they willing to sacrifice for the truth? For Emily, it's the brother she spent her life protecting. For Mr. Carter, it's the daughter who's the only light left in his crumbling world. And for Sarah, it's the mother who's always been her rock. The lines between right and wrong are blurring, and the cost of their choices is becoming unbearable. But the truth is like a wildfire. Once it's set loose, there's no containing it. And as the pressure mounts, it's becoming clear that no one will walk away from this unscathed. But just when it seems like the stakes can't get any higher, a new layer of complexity is added to the story. A figure from Emily's past resurfaces, someone she thought was long gone. This person knows things about her that no one else does, things that could destroy her plan and her life if they're revealed. But they're not here to help her. They're here to make a deal, give them what they want, or they'll expose her to the very people she's been trying to bring down. The ultimatum is brutal, and it forces Emily to confront a truth she's been avoiding. She's not the only one with secrets. And some of those secrets are far darker than hers. As the story hurtles toward its climax, the tension is almost unbearable. Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah are all being pushed to their limits, forced to make choices that will change their lives forever. But the question remains, will they choose the truth, or will they choose the people they love? And even if they do make a choice, will it be enough to save them? The answers are coming, but they're not going to be easy. And as the storm gathers on the horizon, one thing is certain: no one is safe, and no one can be trusted. So, stay tuned, because this story is far from over. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next. The walls are closing in, and the true scale of the conspiracy is finally coming to light: a sprawling, interconnected web of power, corruption, and betrayal that stretches far beyond anything Emily, Mr. Carter, or Sarah could have imagined. What started as a personal vendetta, a quest for justice, has unraveled into something far more sinister, a labyrinth of secrets where no one is who they seem. Emily's plan, once so meticulously crafted, now feels like a fragile house of cards teetering on the edge of collapse. The person from her past, the one who reappeared with a deal she couldn't refuse, has turned out to be far more dangerous than she anticipated. They're not just a lone operator, they're part of something bigger, a shadowy network of individuals who've been pulling strings from behind the scenes for years. And they've made it clear, if Emily doesn't play by their rules, she'll be crushed under the weight of their influence. But the most shocking revelation is yet to come. As she digs deeper, she discovers that someone she trusted, someone she thought was on her side, has been working against her all along. The betrayal cuts deep, leaving her questioning everything she thought she knew. Who can she trust? And more importantly, can she even trust herself? For Mr. Carter, the conspiracy is hitting closer to home than he ever could have imagined. The investigation into his company's corruption has uncovered a trail of deceit that leads straight to the highest levels of power. Politicians, CEOs, even law enforcement officials, all of them are implicated in a scheme that's been operating in plain sight for decades. But the real gut punch comes when he realizes that his own wife, the woman he shared his life with for over a decade, has been hiding something from him. It's not just that she knew about the corruption. She's been actively involved in it, feeding information to the very people who are now threatening to destroy him. The betrayal is devastating, but it's also a wake-up call. Mr. Carter has spent his life building an empire, but now he's realizing that empire was built on lies he told, and lies that were told to him. The question is, can he tear it all down to expose the truth, even if it means losing everything he's worked for? And can he face the fact that the person he loved most in the world has been playing him all along? Sarah, too, is being pulled deeper into the conspiracy, and the stakes have never been higher. The files she's been investigating, the ones that seem like a breakthrough, are starting to feel like a trap. Every lead she follows brings her closer to the truth, but it also brings her closer to danger. And then there's the source who's been feeding her information. She always thought they were on her side, but now she's starting to suspect they have their own agenda. The final straw comes when she discovers a hidden folder in the files she was given, one that contains evidence implicating her own mentor, a respected journalist who's been a guiding force in her career. The betrayal is a punch to the gut, but it's also a turning point. Sarah has always believed in the power of the truth, but now she's realizing that the truth can be a double-edged sword. How far is she willing to go to expose it? And what is she willing to sacrifice in the process? The emotional weight of these revelations is crushing, and the pressure is mounting with every passing moment. Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah are all being pushed to their limits, forced to confront the fact that the conspiracy they're up against is far bigger and far more dangerous than they ever imagined. The people they trusted have turned against them, and the lines between friend and foe have blurred beyond recognition. But the most terrifying part is the realization that they're not just fighting for the truth anymore. They're fighting for their lives. As the story hurtles toward its climax, the tension is almost unbearable. Emily is racing against time to protect her brother, even as the walls close in around her. Mr. Carter is grappling with the devastating betrayal of his wife while trying to shield his daughter from the fallout. And Sarah is facing the hardest decision of her career: expose the truth and risk everything, or walk away and live with the knowledge that she let the story of a lifetime slip through her fingers. The choices they make in the coming hours will determine not just their own fates, but the fates of everyone they care about. But just when it seems like the stakes can't get any higher, a new player enters the game, one whose involvement changes everything. This person has been watching from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to make their move. And when they do, It sends shockwaves through the already fragile alliances that Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah have been trying to hold together. Who are they? What do they want? And how will their involvement change the course of events? The answers are coming, but they're not going to be easy. And as the storm gathers on the horizon, one thing is certain: no one is safe and no one can be trusted. So, stay tuned, because this story is far from over. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next. The storm that's been brewing for weeks finally breaks, and with it comes the moment of reckoning. Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah find themselves standing at the edge of the abyss, their paths converging in a way that feels both inevitable and unimaginable. The final piece of the puzzle, the one that ties everything together, is within reach, but getting to it will require them to confront not just the villains of this story, but the darkest parts of themselves. The tension is electric, the air thick with the weight of everything that's led to this moment. And as the pieces finally fall into place, the truth is more shocking than any of them could have anticipated. Emily's journey brings her to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place that's been haunting her nightmares for years. It's here that she's arranged to meet the person from her past, the one who's been manipulating her, threatening her, and forcing her to play their game. But when she arrives, she's not alone. Mr. Carter is there too, drawn by a cryptic message that promised answers about his company's corruption and the disappearance of his former ally. The two of them stand face to face, their mutual distrust palpable, but there's no time for explanations. The warehouse doors slam shut behind them, and the lights flicker on, revealing a figure standing in the shadows. It's Sarah, her face pale but determined, clutching a folder of documents that could bring the entire conspiracy crashing down. For a moment, the three of them are frozen, each realizing that they've been played not just by the people they've been fighting, but by each other. The figure steps into the light, and the revelation is like a punch to the gut. It's Daniel, Emily's brother, the one person she thought she was protecting. But he's not the scared, vulnerable young man she's been trying to shield from the fallout of her plan. He's calm, calculating, and utterly in control. The betrayal is written all over his face as he explains the truth. He's been working with the shadowy network all along, feeding them information about Emily's movements, her plans, her weaknesses. He's the one who sent the threats, the photos, the messages, all of it designed to keep her in line while he played both sides. His reasons are cold and clinical. He wanted power, the kind of power that comes from being the one who pulls the strings. And he was willing to sacrifice his own sister to get it. Emily's world shatters in that moment, the pain of his betrayal cutting deeper than any physical wound. But even as she reels from the shock, she realizes something. Daniel doesn't have all the cards. There's one piece of the puzzle he's missing, one secret she's kept even from him. Mr. Carter, meanwhile, is grappling with his own revelations. The documents Sarah brought with her, the ones she risked everything to obtain, contain the final piece of evidence he needs to expose the corruption at the heart of his company. But as he flips through the pages, he realizes that the conspiracy goes even deeper than he thought. The people involved aren't just powerful, they're untouchable. And they've been using him as a pawn in their game for years. The weight of his complicity is crushing, but there's no time for guilt. Daniel's network is closing in, and if they don't act fast, they'll all be silenced permanently. The confrontation that follows is a whirlwind of tension, emotion, and high-stakes maneuvering. Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah are forced to work together, their mutual distrust giving way to a fragile alliance as they race against time to expose the truth. But Daniel isn't going down without a fight. He's prepared for this moment, and he's not afraid to use every weapon in his arsenal to protect his secrets. The battle is as much psychological as it is physical. A clash of wills that leaves everyone questioning their own motives and loyalties. And just when it seems like they've gained the upper hand, Daniel drops one final bombshell. The person who's been orchestrating everything from behind the scenes isn't him. It's someone they never saw coming. The twist is as shocking as it is devastating. The mastermind behind the conspiracy, the one who's been pulling the strings all along, is none other than Mr. Carter's wife. She's been playing the long game, using her husband's company as a front for her own ambitions, manipulating everyone around her to achieve her goals. Her betrayal is the final blow, the one that leaves everyone reeling. But it's also the moment that galvanizes them to act. Together, Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah manage to turn the tables, using the evidence they've gathered to expose the truth in a way that can't be ignored. The fallout is immediate and explosive, the conspiracy unraveling in a cascade of arrests, resignations, and public outrage. But even as the dust settles, there's one final twist, one that no one saw coming. As Emily walks away from the wreckage, she receives a message from an unknown number. It's a single sentence. You think this is over, but it's just beginning. The screen fades to black, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, desperate to know what happens next. The story may have reached its climax, but the battle is far from over. And as the credits roll, one thing is certain: no one is safe, and no one can be trusted. So, stay tuned, because this story is far from over. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next. The aftermath of the explosive confrontation leaves the world reeling, the fallout from the exposed conspiracy rippling through every corner of society. Emily, Mr. Carter, and Sarah emerge from the chaos as unlikely heroes, their lives forever changed by the choices they made and the truths they uncovered. For Emily, the journey has been one of painful self-discovery. She spent years running from her past, only to realize that the only way to truly escape was to face it head-on. The betrayal by her brother, Daniel, cuts deeper than any wound she's ever known, but it also sets her free. She no longer has to carry the weight of his secrets, no longer has to live in fear of the shadows that have haunted her for so long. As she stands on the steps of the courthouse, watching as the key players in the conspiracy are led away in handcuffs, she feels a sense of closure she never thought possible. But there's also a quiet sadness, a recognition that some wounds never fully heal. The message she received, the one that warned her this was just the beginning, lingers in the back of her mind, a reminder that the fight for truth and justice is never truly over. Still, for the first time in years, she allows herself to hope. Hope that she can rebuild her life, hope that she can find peace, and hope that the world she leaves behind will be a little better than the one she found. Mr. Carter's journey is one of redemption, though it comes at a cost he never could have anticipated. The exposure of his company's corruption and the betrayal by his wife leave him stripped of everything he once held dear: his wealth, his power, his reputation. But in losing it all, he finds something he didn't know he was missing: his humanity. The love he has for his daughter becomes his anchor, the one thing that keeps him grounded as he navigates the wreckage of his life. He knows he can never undo the damage he's caused, but he's determined to make amends, to use whatever time he has left to fight for the truth and protect the people he cares about. As he sits in a small cafe, watching his daughter laugh with a friend, he feels a sense of peace he hasn't known in years. It's not the kind of peace that comes from victory or vindication, but the kind that comes from knowing he's finally doing the right thing. Still, The road ahead is long, and the scars of his past will never fully fade. But for the first time in a long time, he feels like he's on the right path. Sarah, too, finds herself at a crossroads. The story she's been chasing, the one that's consumed her life for months, has finally come to an end, but the cost has been higher than she ever imagined. The betrayal by her mentor, the threats to her family, the constant fear of being silenced, it's all taken a toll. But it's also given her a sense of purpose, a clarity about what really matters. As she sits at her desk, staring at the blank page of her next article, she realizes that this isn't just a story anymore. It's a calling. The truth is a powerful thing, but it's also fragile, and it needs people like her to protect it. She knows the road ahead won't be easy, that there will always be forces trying to silence her, but she's ready to face them. Because she's seen what happens when the truth is buried, and she's determined to make sure it never happens again. As she begins to type, the words flow freely, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of hope. The story ends with a quiet moment, a scene that lingers in the mind long after the screen fades to black. Emily stands on a beach, the waves crashing against the shore as the sun sets in the distance. She's alone, but for the first time in years, she doesn't feel lonely. The weight of her past is still there, but it's no longer crushing her. She's found a way to carry it, to turn it into something that gives her strength rather than holding her back. As she watches the sun dip below the horizon, she feels a sense of peace she hasn't known in years. But there's also a quiet determination, a recognition that the fight isn't over. The message she received, the one that warned her this was just the beginning, is still there. A reminder that the world is full of shadows and that the light will always need protectors. But for now, in this moment, she allows herself to breathe, to hope, to believe that no matter what comes next, she'll be ready. The final shot is of the horizon, the sun disappearing into the ocean as the waves roll in. It's a moment of quiet beauty, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always the promise of a new dawn. The story may be over, but its impact lingers, a testament to the power of truth, the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring hope that even in the face of overwhelming odds, we can find a way to rise. As the screen fades to black, one question remains: what will you do when the shadows come for you? The answer, like the story itself, is yours to discover.